I left law because of my own health.
I think Christiana is amazing and she has so many great insights into gut health and hormones. What I really liked is that she took a holistic approach. It's about balance. What I need as an individual is going to be different from what you need.
Absolutely. Even the basics, getting enough sleep, the nutrition, your micronutrients, a healthy diet, getting enough hydration. Not only that, doing weights, exercising, moving your body. These are things that we all need to be doing. And sometimes we forget to do because we are all so busy.
And also the importance of stress and trying to eliminate stress as much as you can. Yeah. We were both lawyers and now have ventured into the world of wellness. Why did you decide to leave law?
I struggled a lot with my health. I didn't get a period for nearly 6 years. I went and saw some doctors and I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted. You're a lawyer, what do? You start investigating. So that's what I did. It's like our fifth vital sign. If your period is not regular or something is not feeling like it's right in your body when it comes to hormones, listen to your body. And
feeling confident in your skin is so much more than what you see in the mirror.
And how can you feel good? Well, that starts from within.
Welcome to the In Your Skin podcast. I'm Christy.
And I'm Anna. Join us each week as we sit down with world-leading experts and thought leaders to delve into the latest insights, groundbreaking research, and cutting-edge advancements in wellness, longevity, and beauty. So, Christiana, we actually have a few things in common. So, we have 2 kids. Mm-hmm. We actually went to the same school together. We go to a few kids' parties together as well. And we were both lawyers and now have ventured into the world of wellness. Why did you decide to leave law?
I left law because of my own health. So I was working as a lawyer and I struggled a lot with my health. I didn't get a period for nearly 6 years.
Wow.
And that was really hard because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the importance of my hormones and what that meant. Like it's like our fifth vital sign. So if your period is not regular or something is not feeling like it's right in your body when it comes to hormones, listen to your body, and your period is one of those things to listen to. But I didn't know that. I didn't understand that in my 20s. I went and saw some doctors and I wasn't getting the answers that I wanted. So what did I do? I started reading. You know, you're a lawyer. What do? You start investigating. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did. And I found that I loved science more. Like I loved it from school even, but I loved it.
Did you? I didn't.
I definitely did. I loved chemistry. I loved biology. I loved it all. And so it took me down the path of nutrition and I started studying it when I was working as a lawyer. And then I decided that was it. I'm going to leave and I'm going to help people. I managed to get my period back on my own. I figured out that a lot of women were struggling with what I was struggling with, and that was stress and hypothalamic amenorrhea, not getting their period. I also had really big mood shifts. And a lot of gut issues. So I ended up with a parasite. I ended up with Helicobacter pylori. All of these things that were all interlinked, and I realized how connected the body was. So I left law to basically help people.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about the gut, and a lot of people say that the gut is actually like the second brain. Why is that?
Well, the gut and the brain are connected. So there's the vagus nerve, and the vagus nerve connects the gut and the brain, and it sends messages. So if our nervous system is feeling good, our gut's going to feel good. If our gut is fueled, it's going to help our brain. It's going to help produce those neurotransmitters in the gut that are going to help, our brain function and feel good and improve our mood. So it's an interplay, a biodirectional, play between the two of them. That's why it is the second brain, because it is fueling a lot of things, and it also makes nutrients as well, and it digest foods, and there's microbes in there, and those microbes, they're talking all the time and they want things from us, and they want good food, they want fibers, they want things that they're going to eat and then live off.
Yeah. And just going back to the part where you said you got your period back on your own, how did you actually do that? What did you do?
I gained 10 kilos, so that was really big.
It's funny because you think you wouldn't want to do that, and how does sort of weight, I guess, come into it? Like, is there a certain weight that you should be? I guess everyone should be a different weight, but how did you know that you needed to put on 10 kilos?
I didn't know that I had to put on 10. I knew I had to put on weight. I knew that my body wasn't meant to be the weight that it was. And like you said, everybody is different. So me giving a weight number is not going to help anyone right now. It's about you looking at your body. So what are the things that are going to tell you that your body is functioning? What is your gut? So if your gut is, like I had bad IBS, so when my bloating started to decrease, I started to feel my body and feel energized. I no longer had that brain fog that was plaguing me. So I couldn't function. I wasn't curled up under my desk. I was able to exercise and feel energized from exercise, not depleted. I was able to, talk to people and be in a setting where I didn't have that social anxiety that was being fueled by, not having a period. So there were signs that were telling me that I was on the right path. And I just gained the weight and stopped actually overtraining and fueling my body the way that it needed to be with the right foods, eating all my macronutrients. So that's like your protein, fats, carbs, my micronutrients, my zinc, my B vitamins, everything that my body needed to function. And even my skin improved because, hey, estrogen and your skin are connected. And when you have no estrogen, your skin's going to feel dull.
Yeah. That was one thing I noticed too, from my own personal journey of healing my gut, was the improvement in my skin. And it was one of those nice things that you kind of didn't expect. But if you think about it, when you have all of that going on, and your skin is your largest organ, how much it can be impacted by the lack of nutrients, if you're not getting enough sleep, if you're stressing too much, all of those kind of things. And so do you think for yourself that, you didn't listen to those signs early enough?
No, I didn't understand those signs. I was in my 20s and I was working as a lawyer, and you know what it's like. You're not listening. But I think it's about all of us creating that awareness of what are the signs that I need to listen to. And one of them is the outward and inward. So, your skin, how it looks, how you feel in your body, how your muscle is even growing is can you build muscle? Because you can't if you're not nourishing enough and you're not doing the right thing either. The gut is incredible. It is amazing when it comes to everything from the inside out. So when I see a lot of my clients with acne, I'm looking at the gut. When I see my clients with hormone issues, I'm looking at the gut. So if the gut is not functioning, all of those other things are not going to be working either.
And what sort of advice, I guess, would you give, if you could, yourself back in your 20s, and also people who are in their 20s now? What should they be looking out for when it comes to the gut?
I would say, are you going to the bathroom daily? Do you feel empty when you go to the bathroom? Do you write down, keep a food diary? It's really important what things do bother you, and don't think that just eliminating gluten and dairy is going to solve the issue, because it's not. Not everybody has those issues. You might have slight lactose intolerance, but not severe where you can't eat it at all. So look out for bloating discomfort. You shouldn't be bloating and uncomfortable every day. You shouldn't have excessive gas. Yes, pass wind. You're supposed to. It's a natural thing. But look out when something just doesn't feel right. Fatigue is a really big one. Headaches. Reflux is another one. If you think upper gastric, like, am I getting reflux? Do I have burning sensations?
I feel like I've had all of those at some point in my life, and probably continuously as well, but I just didn't take notice in a way. I just thought they were normal. And I feel like a lot of people just think these things are normal, but actually your body is telling you something.
What do you think is contributing to all of these issues, right? Because, I guess as women, busy, always on, juggling multiple things. But what do you think in general is contributing to, people having these gut issues or having these signs and symptoms? And when do you think is the right time to actually go seek help for it?
I think you should seek help when you don't feel right, or if you don't actually know whether you're doing the right thing. There's nothing wrong with seeking help if you think you might be on the right track but don't know if you're on the right track. Get that professional help. I still get professional help. Like, I, talk to people that, doctors that know more than me in other areas. It's always important to educate yourself. So there's that, number one. Two, when you don't feel right. If you are waking tired, if you are not able to sleep, if you the basic things don't feel right in your body, seek the help you need. If you feel like you have to eliminate foods, get the help you need to see whether you really do need to eliminate those, or is it something else. The other thing is with the gut, all that bloating, if you're ending up distended at night and very uncomfortable, that's when you need to go get help. And like you said, your skin as well. If you feel like that physically as well, you're noticing changes. What are your eyes telling you? And if you've got nutritional deficiencies, so come to a blood test. So I review blood tests a lot as well. And what do I see? Low iron. I see changes in B12 and folate levels, zinc levels, and they're all impacted by the gut. Are you processing what you're actually eating, and are those nutrients being utilised by the body and your cells, or are they just passing through you?
Sometimes you can have, obviously, leaky gut's a common thing that you'd probably see. For myself, I had, when I was diagnosed with and I guess discovered that I had these gut issues, I had leaky gut, parasites, candida overgrowth, SIBO, all at the same time.
She had it all.
I had it all. And I was fatigued, light sensitivity. So when I go outside, my eyes really sensitive to light, brain fog. And I guess now, and I guess this is a big part of why we're even doing, this podcast, is we really don't want people to get to that place where you're in that chronic condition. But, because I think our listeners would be thinking, okay, that's great, I could go seek help. But sometimes they just don't, and they keep ignoring those signs. Do you have any strategies or ways that you can listen to your body or tune in and just go, okay, or change your mindset in terms of, actually prioritizing it?
Recording your food is number one. Recording how you feel in your body. Journaling is incredible. All of my clients do it. So do it before you even come to see someone and get help, I would say. So how do I feel before I eat? How do I feel after I eat? How do I feel at the end of the day? Give yourself a rating. There's nothing wrong with a quantitative rating out of 10 of when I wake up, I feel like I'm a 2 out of 10 with my energy. Where should I be? When I go to do this task, my brain fog is higher than it really should be, or it used to be like a year ago before that. Do I go to the bathroom and feel good when I go to the bathroom, or what does my stool look like? Record that. Look at, is it getting graphic here? Is it mushy, or is it solid? Is it, things like
Crazy
that.
to think how many signs there actually are that you kind of just don't take notice of sometimes.
No.
Until it's too late.
And your body's actually telling you something. So start listening. Does the gut deteriorate over time, or is it something that if you nourish and you feed and it can stay like that and you're like, I can look after my gut and my gut is going to be like that forever, or does it deteriorate?
The gut changes. The gut changes with stress. So if you're going to turn around to me and say my gut last week when I was on a holiday is different to mine this week when I'm stressed, it might be different. I might eat different things. You eat different things, and it can change. But isn't that beautiful that it can change? So it can change for the better. So we want to make it better. And I would say that women over 30, over 35, entering 40 as well, really have to focus on the gut. Why? Because the diversity of the microbiome changes with your change in hormones. Okay, so it decreases in diversity. The more diverse our gut is, the healthier it is. Okay, so healthier microbes, good microbes in there. So you do want to be focusing on what you're putting into your body, how you are sleeping, what your stress is like, even how you are exercising. Because if you over-exercise, that's going to cause stress on your gut. That is going to cause that leaky gut as well. And that was one of my big issues, that intestinal permeability, so the gut junctions, the way that they work, they were staying open post-training, and every time I'd eat, it would make me feel worse.
So we were talking about...
It's horrible.
Yeah, it's horrible, isn't it? We were talking about that before, weren't we, a bit earlier today, in terms of as you get older, and especially after having babies, you notice the changes in your body, and you can't always eat the same foods as you did before. Is that also correlated with the changing of the gut, or is it that just a hormonal thing? Is that why?
So postpartum, I see a lot of development of IBS. And I think looking at studies and stuff that I've researched, and also clinic-based, you're not sleeping. That's going to impact your microbiome. You probably are eating differently. You're eating a bit more erratically. You're not as structured. You're grabbing something on the go because you're trying to nurture a baby. Then you've got hormonal shifts. You don't have as much estrogen because if you are breastfeeding, that is, you're making prolactin. So hormonal shifts like that can also change the gut. So I think there's a whole bunch of things. And personally, my nervous system wasn't you're caring for another child. Like, let's be real here. You're naturally going to be a little bit more anxious.
And is it something you can get back on track?
Absolutely.
I guess once you start having more sleep and you start eating better and sort of more regularly and how you maybe used to and how
does the poor sleep impact the gut? Can you explain it? What is it doing?
Well, you're not sleeping. The sleep is recovery. So think about a recovery for your brain, recovery for your body, recovery for everything. So if you're not sleeping, your microbes would change. So maybe you don't have that diversity that you would have, and your ability to digest certain foods also might change. If you're not sleeping, your cortisol levels, are different. That can also impact your blood glucose levels, your gut as well. So it's all interconnected. So we want everything to come together. I'm not saying that, postpartum, I've just got to deal with it for a year. No, absolutely not. I would say get help and do it, because what you fuel yourself with will change it. Yes, you might not have the same amount of sleep that you were getting, but there's other factors that you can look at and change and try and help.
Is that also similar when it comes to your menstrual cycle and that sort of time a month when things are changing? What sort of advice would you give people or women when it is that sort of time a month to how to deal with the gut?
Okay, so yeah.
Big question.
No, I love it. Love talking about the hormones, you know that. No, I was going to say that with PMS and the gut again, they're symptoms. So what do I see? Constipation premenstrually, your luteal phase. But that's a hormonal thing. The way your progesterone and estrogen drop, that can cause a lot of constipation for many. And then when there's that prostaglandin release, it can cause a little bit of diarrhea for some women as well. So there is a shift that's a natural shift, but excessive constipation during that time is actually quite uncomfortable for women. So you do want to focus on how you're eating then. Am I getting enough fiber during that time? Am I getting enough protein to really energize me and my muscles during that luteal phase, especially those 7 days before? You want to make sure that you're looking at that and changing your diet according to that if you really need to. Getting enough water, taking the supplements that you do need around that time. Also nourish your nervous system. So, B vitamins, things that are rich, like bananas and whole grains, and your proteins for your serotonin and dopamine production, they're really important around that time. And then that'll also help support your gut. Yeah, so fiber, fermented foods, they're all my favourites.
And are these sorts of foods that we should be eating anyway? So if we talk about macro and micronutrients, what should actually we be taking in a day as a woman in her 30s? What should I be eating? Tell me everything. Give me a day on a plate.
I'm going to sit there and break down macronutrients. We're going to be here for a while.
We love it.
Yeah. But even understanding what are they?
Yeah.
Because,
Okay, so macronutrients are your protein, fats, carbs, and then there's fiber as part of your carbohydrates, dietary fiber. So they're the ones that aren't digested and they move down to your colon and your microbes. They go yum, yum, yum. I'm going to eat all of them. So we love those soluble fibers as well. They feed off those. And then you've got micronutrients. So that's where your zinc comes in, your B vitamins. So folate, B12, B1, B2, B3, all of those B vitamins are really, really important. So then you've got, like I mentioned, fats. So they're really important for us as well as females because hormones are made from cholesterol. That's, so we need our eggs. And if you're vegan, think your avocados, your nuts, your seeds, all of those kind of foods there. Then we've got really beautiful fruits like blueberries, which are really high in antioxidants. So we want those to reduce any inflammation because as we age as women, inflammation starts to increase because of the shift in hormones. So we want to think anti-inflammatory diets most of the time anyway. Fibers, so we want to think what can I add in? So you need to think dark leafy greens, lots of those, fibers through all fruits and vegetables. And if you're going to tell me you struggle with those, think, can I cook them? So does cooking make it easier on my digestive system? That makes a difference as well. So slow cook meat helps a lot of women if they do have issues with digesting meat. And
what nutrients are you seeing most women are deficient in, especially in their 30s, 40s?
Iron, B12, folate, zinc, iodine, a lot of women, which is surprising. So that supports your thyroid. So you want to have a look at that.
And why is that? Yeah. Is there a reason? Are they just not eating enough of the foods that they should be?
I think it could be an array of reasons. I think it could be the fact that our soil might not be containing enough of these. Yep. We might not be eating enough of these nutrients. We might be depleted of these nutrients because of our stress and the lifestyle that we live. So all of these things can be factors.
Yeah.
So magnesium is kind of one of my key nutrients that I give pretty much everybody. And
is that because they're deficient in it?
You're not going to see that from a blood test. So I don't want to say, hey, you're deficient in it. So you can see it, but it's not going to be a clear indicator from your blood test. But I can see it from their symptoms. So if they're not sleeping well, we can support that with magnesium. If they've got cramping and muscle issues, post-training, even not post-training, we'll give some magnesium. If I see that their stress levels, they're rating them as an 8 out of 10, you're going to need some magnesium. It's also going to help smooth muscle relaxant, so support your gut. And for a lot of women that struggle with constipation, magnesium can also be really supportive in a citrate form.
A citrate, yes. I was going to say there's different forms of magnesium. So what are you typically recommending?
My two favourites are a citrate or a glycinate.
Yeah. And how much should you be having a day?
So the recommended daily intake is 300 milligrams a day for a female. It varies. So I look at what is your training schedule, what is your lifestyle like, what is your food intake, are you getting enough from the nutrients? So think dark leafy greens, almonds, they contain a lot of magnesium. We want to get those in our diet. But is there enough in that food, or do we need to supplement with it? And what is going to serve you for now? So is it a glycinate that's going to serve you right now, or is it a citrate, or is it both?
Yeah.
And how do they work differently?
So the glycinate contains glycine, which is an amino acid that actually can support sleep. So that's why it's one of those kind of relaxing ones that I focus on. The citrate I look at more for energy and also for like gut issues. So they both can work for sleep as well, but it can vary.
It depends on what your body needs, really, and that's why you've really got to look at the individual person. Yeah. Sort of going back, I guess, onto the gut and skin, I've had a lot of issues with rosacea, and I feel like a lot of people nowadays coming up to me going, because they know I've had it and I've spoken about it, and saying, oh, what are you doing this? And I always thought, okay, I just need some topical cream, some magical cream that's going to get rid of it. And I think it was actually you, Chrissy, you go, oh, you've actually got to check your gut and see what's going on with your gut. And I was like, man, my gut's fine. And I've actually just ordered a test to see what's going on. So I'll have to get back to you. But sort of what is your, I guess, opinion on gut and something like rosacea?
Yeah, very connected.
Yeah.
So if you're coming to me, a lot of women have rosacea. I work with the gut. What is your gut microbiome doing? And where have you been? Have you travelled? Have you gotten a parasite that you didn't know about? Is it something that's been lingering there? Is there like a dysbiosis there?
See, that's interesting, because I literally a few months ago started getting rosacea on my cheeks. Never had it, as I've never had any kind of acne or skin issues. Started getting a little bit of redness. Went and got a gut test. Came up, I had 2 parasites and some bacterial overgrowth. And I've been able to get the inflammation down in my gut recently just through diet, cutting out. I mean, I've quit alcohol altogether. Yes, that's like no longer drinking. And not that I was a big drinker before, I literally would, but I'm just now not. Yeah. But just how interesting, because it was the only thing that's kind of popped up in the last few months. And
And is rosacea something that sits dormant in your body, and it's whether or not, like, everybody has rosacea and whether or not things trigger it, or how do you get rosacea? Do you know?
I can't actually answer that, but I think that a lot of things can sit in everyone's body and they can flare up based on stuff that's going on. Yours could also have been like a postpartum shift as well. You know, you got to think, what were my hormones doing? What did my gut? How did my gut change postpartum? Did I have a lot of stress giving birth? Those things that can impact, and then it comes out in skin. Whereas mine comes out in my period. Like my period can change very rapidly with stress and changes in my body. So everyone has different signs, and the skin, for a lot of people, that's where it shows up because you can visibly see it.
Yeah. And I can see every month my skin changes from the moment I get my period to after to in between. Like it's different at all stages throughout. And that's the one thing I can notice. It's because I can see it. It's on my skin. So
gives you a good warning signs then, doesn't it? Going back to, you mentioned blood sugar earlier. I mean, I've been doing a bit of research on it. It's becoming a known thing that it's something that we all need to kind of consider, especially when you're looking at healthy aging, right? And how does glucose, blood sugar spikes, how does that impact aging and also, your hormones, your gut? Is it all interconnected?
It's all interconnected. Everything is. So one of the biggest, I would say, hormonal imbalances, or if I want to call it that, or shifts that we don't always investigate is insulin resistance. Okay. So it's not going to always show up, and are we doing the right tests for it?
And what is insulin resistance?
So it's when your body can't respond. So say you eat a carbohydrate and you go, yum, 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 it feels really good. And someone with balanced insulin's going to be released, and then it's going to uptake that glucose to your cell. When there's insulin resistance, it doesn't do that, just to put it very, very simply. So you're going to feel quite fatigued. You're not going to have that energy because your body's not utilising. Again, how is your body utilising what you're eating? So it's similar to what I say when you're eating protein. Are you getting that zinc and that B12 from it? Are you pulling it out and your body's using it? It might not be. So as we age, our insulin sensitivity changes, and that we do have to look at how we eat and what we are eating as females, because the hormones also impact that. So I think if I'm going to break it down simply, estrogen and progesterone, so they're two female hormones. So estrogen is anti-inflammatory, because estrogen's gotten a bad rap. So it's always like, oh, too much estrogen, you've got endometriosis, you've got adenomyosis, it's bad for you. But it actually does so many incredible things. So it is really good for your skin. It helps make collagen. Then we've also got the fact that it's, good for your gut. It's anti-inflammatory. And it also helps, your blood glucose sensitivity. So when it starts to decrease, that also changes. But you can put things in. You can change the way that you eat to make it so your insulin sensitivity stays, where it needs to be and is firing.
This podcast wouldn't be possible without the support of our sponsor, Whoop.
Hey, Anna, what was your sleep score last night?
Well, wouldn't you like to know? No, it was 87%. What did you get?
100%.
Of course.
Whoop has me dialed in.
Okay, tell me a secret.
Well, I've been going to bed really consistently, and I've been taking my Magnesium supplement, of course. Plus, Whoop tracks my sleep performance, how much sleep I got versus what I actually needed. It even breaks down into 4 stages: awake, light, REM, and deep sleep.
Well, that's what I love about it. Whoop auto-detects my sleep and it helps me stay consistent. Plus, the sleep coach gives me a personalized bedtime so I wake up feeling refreshed.
Exactly. Sleep is the foundation to everything. Recovery, performance, and even how I feel during the day. Whoop helps me optimize it.
Well, want better sleep? Well, head to whoop.com and get a free month when you sign up. If you want to try it yourself, sign up at joinwhoop.com/inyourskin and get your first month free.
For example, eating sugar after a protein meal, or, what are some of the
orders
tips?
of eating?
Yeah,
do you mean?
how do you manage the blood sugar spikes and the glucose levels? And
there's been a lot about the order of eating, and I think I'm not anti that, but I think it causes a lot of stress because everyone's like, oh, I've just got to eat my veggies first and my protein second. What? I want to eat my salad, but I want to eat it all at once because I really enjoy eating my carb with my protein and my salad. I don't want to think about it, but I'm going to think about the contents of my plate and what is on it. Does it contain all of those things that I need? What type of a carb am I having? Am I having a fiber-rich carb, or am I having one that's going to give me a quick glucose spike? And the way you're eating around training as well can also make a difference, because your insulin sensitivity is better post-training. So all of these things make a difference for me. I don't want to be stressing out my clients. I don't want to be stressing out everybody thinking that, hey, sit there and eat your salad first and then eat your protein and then eat your carbs. I think we need to take a lot of fear out of nutrition and start going back to the basics, and start with, if you're really starting and you don't know much about it, just start with making sure you're getting enough fibre, 30 to 40 grams a day if you can stomach it. I would say build up your fibre. Don't just jump in.
What does that look like? What does 30 to 40 grams of fibre look like?
Okay, so think 75 grams of chickpeas at lunch with lots of dark leafy greens. So your breakfast, you can have whole grain sourdough, or you could put some quinoa in. If you like oats, you could go for something like that. And then at dinner time, think of brown rice, or and then a lot of like broccoli, asparagus, greens of that sort, cauliflower, all of those foods. And then snacks, berries, blueberries, raspberries, really rich in fibre. Kiwis, my favourite, help build the microbiome for a better, diversity, all of those things.
Yeah, I like what you said about diversity. It is just getting a real diverse group of vegetables, fruits into your diets. And I think, what are they saying today about how many different types of vegetables you should be getting in?
Plants. So let's think plants.
Yes. So how many plants should you be eating a day?
Well, they say diversity 30 over a week.
30 over a week, okay.
So by plants, let's define it as nuts and seeds, herbs. So herbs are included. Get your parsley, get your coriander.
I don't know if I'm doing that.
You are definitely doing it. I get my clients to count it, and you are definitely doing it. It includes your onion. It includes, I'm sure you cook with onion in pretty much all
do you know what? Because I had SIBO.
Oh, you didn't.
That's another question, right? Is because I formed fears over what I was eating after being on such restricted diets for so long.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to that stress of, oh my God, am I eating this? Am I eating that? It's like, holy shit, it can be.
Even when it comes to pepper, like we were having dinner last night, I was like, did you want some pepper? And she's like, no, I can't have pepper anymore.
No. But I mean, I probably can, but I don't like the taste of it anymore. I love salt. I don't know. See, this is the thing. But and those with IBS and things like that, you're continuously getting triggered, and then you're thinking about, oh my God, can I actually eat that food? Because for SIBO is an underlying cause of IBS symptoms. Can you tell us a little bit about SIBO? Because this is something that I had to learn a lot about early on. I know a lot of people will experience it at some point, especially if they have IBS symptoms, it might be something to look into.
Yeah, so they're very interlinked. So again, small bacterial overgrowth. Yeah. So do you still have that?
Well, do you know what? It was interesting because I did 2 years on the SIBO diet.
Okay. So what did that look like for you? Because that's different for everyone. Like there's extreme diets like the elemental.
Yeah, and I tried that. Yeah.
You tried that as well.
So it was interesting, my journey with SIBO. So because I had leaky gut, candida overgrowth, parasites. I had to do a lot of different things and working with multiple practitioners in order to heal my gut and to, eradicate some of what I had going on. But basically it was a 2 to 3 year journey. And I thought it was something that I could fix really easily. But I think that's one thing when you've had chronic stress, chronic illness, it is a journey, and it is different for everybody. For me, it was hard to slow down. I was a business owner. I had 2 young kids, so trying to manage all this at the same time was a big thing, right? But, I tried the SIBO diet, which was restricted on garlic, onion. I couldn't have spices, sauces, sugar, no alcohol, no gluten, no dairy. I was already gluten and dairy intolerant anyway, and usually didn't have that in my diet. So that was easy. The sugar was a hard thing. But I'm glad. It's kind of like silver lining. All of this sort of stuff set me up for now. I practice no refined sugars. And I mean, I have an occasional treat, but
she did have an Easter egg.
I did have an Easter egg yesterday.
Good work.
Yes, that was balance. But these things that to reduce inflammation, because I know I'm kind of one of those people that's a bit prone to it because of being an entrepreneur and being a bit more on the go and high stress. And so I've got to manage that. Much more balanced these days. But yes, I did have to do the elemental diet. But the interesting thing that I think, so every test I'd get, I'd always come back with SIBO. And so the test that I'd have to do was a breath test. I had both of the gases.
Methane and hydrogen.
Yeah. But it was really interesting because it wasn't until I started doing the mindset work, along with the work with the practitioners, to uncover the beliefs that were one of the beliefs that I had formed through the birth of my first child was that my body couldn't heal itself, or that my body failed me, I think it was. Aww. And so I didn't believe my body could heal itself. And so that was a big hole, that was holding back my healing journey.
Is that something you see?
I said that just because I understand that and I hear that a lot, and I think we don't trust our bodies and we really should. And that's why I do both. I do the lifestyle, when I ran my retreat as well, we did a whole section on breath work, sound healing and looking at that because they're both interconnected. So it's about really marrying the two. Yeah. That's why I say when you did ask me earlier, what do you think the key driver to a lot of gut issues are? I wanted to say to you from my experience in clinic is the nervous system.
Yeah. Huge.
But I don't want to just say it's that because there's so many other factors that fall underneath it. Yeah. But the nervous system is a really big one. And stomach acid changes. I'm not sure if your practitioner's told you this, but stomach acid changes with stress, as well. And that allows all of that to come in.
And that's interesting, right? It's because I healed my leaky gut. I don't know if I ever eradicated SIBO because, to be honest, I ended up giving up on the test and I was just like, I'm just going to believe I don't have it anymore. And then all of a sudden my symptoms down. And then I still practice the healthy eating, but I'm a little bit fearful of some foods still, like garlic and onion. I actually think I can eat them and it's fine. It's more sometimes it just pops up in my mind. But, just as a habit, because it was for 2-3 years of this strict diet. But it's interesting when I go on holidays, I can eat whatever I want because I'm relaxed, I'm not stressed. But as soon as I start stressing, my gut issues flare up.
But you know that.
I know
that's
that.
Okay.
No, yeah.
You can. There's options. So there's other things. There's like garlic infused olive oil.
Yes, I do that.
And onion infused olive oil. So we still want to get those because again, that garlic and onion, they contain a lot of polyphenols that we want in our diet as well. So there are other ways to get them. We live in a society where things are getting created for all of these issues, but it's about, with a lot of my clients, I try to introduce things very slowly so they can go out and not fear, because I know that fear. That was one of my big fears. I can't go out and eat that food because I'm going to flare up. I'm going to feel so sick and it's going to keep me down for another week.
And also it's a massive change for you to go, okay, can you go eat all these plants and completely change your lifestyle and your diet in one day? Please go do it. What's sort of some advice you would give people to make those initial steps of making a change for the better when it comes to gut health?
Start simple. So choose 2 vegetables or 2 fruits, or 1 fruit and 1 vegetable, 1 plant, 1 herb that you want to add in this week. Start adding it and then see how you go next week. Explore flavors through herbs and spices would be my number 2. So rather than thinking sauces have a lot of additional things in them that we don't want. There are great ones that are less processed these days, but think, how can I make my own sauce without it being too laborious? So I know we don't have time as mums. I don't have time to make a curry sauce. I'm going to buy that curry powder and I'm going to be okay with it. But see what you can get. And how can I add a little bit more turmeric to my rice, or a little bit of something else to give it that flavour, but it's also going to add to help my gut.
Yeah,
that's great advice.
Turmeric's one of my favourites to add to anything, and it's an anti-inflammatory, isn't it? So, yeah.
But you need a bit of black pepper to enhance.
Yeah, okay. I'll add some
good tip.
to enhance, the properties of it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But start simple, everybody. That is my big tip.
A lot of people that we speak to, though, do say that. They're like, start simple, but also get back to the basics and start listening to your body, which is all the things that you've been saying.
I cut out processed foods. That's a big thing from an inflammatory perspective. I think a lot of us have environmental things that can be contributing, toxins, mold. I think that was I was living in a house that had mold in it in Sydney for 3 years. And that's when my gut issues actually started, was from that. And I think after investigating a lot of things and trying to clear SIBO and all of that kind of stuff, I was like, all environmental things, and it layers up, right? The stress. So not only what you're thinking in your mind and how you're perceiving things in your life and the things you're adding to your plate, it's also, the toxic load that's coming in from an environmental perspective. Are you seeing much of that with your clients?
So I have to do a lot of liver detoxification, but in a really calm way. Like, don't think you just have to go on a juice cleanse or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But because of mold, I do see that. And that's where a lot of skin acne and rosacea
How do you test for mold?
You can test for it. I don't always test for it. I look at environmental. I feel, this is just my opinion, sometimes we can over-test, like you said, with SIBO. And I think that puts a lot of stress on people because I didn't get that result that I want. And sometimes feeling your body can be better than always trying to seek a test. I'm not saying don't test. I think there is a space. So like when you get your test, that'll be your test and you'll have that as a baseline, and doing a follow-up after you do 3 months of a protocol would be amazing. Not over-testing and overthinking, because then that causes another stress.
And also, just when it comes to food, what foods, ingredients would you suggest to avoid to minimise the signs of aging? Give us a long list.
Collagen, you know that already. I don't have to tell you.
Yeah.
A good collagen.
Yeah.
You can tell us a bit about where yours is sourced from, because I know that it's good. So there's that. Anti-inflammatory, so think your blueberries as well. Yeah. We know that. We need, what else do I like? Walnuts, lots of omega-3. I haven't spoken about omega-3, but that's really important for gut diversity as well.
Right.
I know I said a lot about fibre and fermented foods, but omegas are important for skin, important for the gut. So they're 3. And then we've got protein, but good sources of protein, clean, grass-fed meat, fish, white fish even, trout and stuff, wild salmon, all of those.
And also, what are some things we should actually be avoiding when it comes to food and ingredients?
Refined sugars. Don't avoid them completely. I don't. I practice balance because I don't want my children to see excessive restriction. Like, I do have a little girl, and I do always caution myself pulling back over showing her like fear of things. Like, I want her to understand what she's fueling and how it makes her body feel. So we talk a lot about, how do you feel after you eat that, 3 chocolates or something. So
after a kid's party.
Well,
how do you feel?
How do you feel?
Crazy.
I actually, usually when they're running around the house, you're like, So things like, how does it make their tummy feel? How do, things, it's the same for an adult. So things like that for your skin.
I think that's great advice as well, because we obviously have kids, and it's good to actually start speaking to kids like that and finding out how they feel after they do eat things, even after they eat something good as well.
Exactly. So, yeah, I do that. Yeah. So
I'm also mindful of not labeling something good or bad when it comes to food. Like, that's not bad food. It's, what's healthy and what's healthy, what makes you feel good when you eat it.
Sometimes food. Call it sometimes food.
Sometimes food.
Okay, that's a good one.
So when I went into my daughter's kindergarten, spoke to them. I called it sometimes food to help them understand. And I was shocked at the amount of kids that were actually educated on what a vitamin D was, how vitamin C.
Yeah, good.
It was amazing. They knew that vitamin D was in eggs and that they should eat their eggs, for their vitamin
more
D to help
intelligent
their
than
brain. But I think it's just going to show that parents are becoming more educated, and they're telling their children. They know that rather than reaching for the pantry, hey, let's go for the fruit bowl. Things like that. And it's the same with us. Why are you aiming for the pantry? Go and choose something from the fridge. Like, grab your piece of fruit and, hummus and crack, something.
I've got a question for you. So what's one thing every woman should do every woman over 30, what should they do to support their hormones?
Oh, that's a really loaded one thing. Oh, goodness. God, I make it really simple. Eat vegetables in every meal.
Okay.
If I'm going to really simplify it, I'm going to say eat veggies in breakfast, lunch and dinner.
That's easy to do.
Yeah.
That seems easy, right?
Yeah. And my number 2, let's go 3 tips. Let's go 3 tips. It's easier.
Yeah.
My number 2 is get enough protein for your body. So we want to maintain muscle mass. Hey, that's really important. That means there's longevity. So it helps our blood glucose levels, our insulin. It also helps our bone structure. We want to be able to move, be mobile throughout our whole lives, and not get injured. So protein is going to help that. in each meal. You want to make sure, I'd say start your breakfast with 30 grams and that'll be a good start for you. That's my number 2. So we've got veggies and fruit, then we've got protein. And my number 3 would be, and please listeners do not hate me, reduce your alcohol.
Yeah.
I say that because we know enough now of how it impacts our liver and how our liver as females changes, and it becomes a lot more sensitive. It needs to excrete our hormones. It needs to be there to excrete mycotoxins like the mold and stuff. We need it for other things. So if you can do something, taking out excessive amounts of alcohol or reducing it would be my tip number 3.
What impact is alcohol having on our cells and our body that would accelerate aging?
Well, it's impacting your liver, and so that can become toxic for many people. Yeah. And
so we speak a lot about hydration and the importance of it and drinking a lot of water, but what foods can actually support hydrating your skin?
there's watermelon. Obviously, it's high in sugar, but also, I would say hydrate your skin. Like just go water all the time.
How much water should we be drinking a day as a 30-year-old woman?
It varies depending on how much you sweat, how much you work out, but I'd say at least 2 litres for most women.
Is that sort of a baseline?
That's kind of my baseline, but it can vary for women depending on your size. Everything, same with protein. I'm not going to say to you, hey, everybody has to have 100 grams of protein. Depends on how your kidney's functioning, what is your, what is your exercise load, what is your goal. But yeah, it varies for everybody. But I think water is important. But it's also important, and I know you and I have talked about electrolytes, to see are we just excreting the water, or are our cells actually absorbing, using the water?
And how can you retain water a lot better if it's not being
absorbed?
I would say just try, if it's not being absorbed, if you think that you're excessively urinating. Or,
what would you recommend to your clients who are
I give them electrolytes. Yep. I think they do help a lot of women.
Electrolytes,
but I'm not saying go out
like
and go.
You go to the chemist and buy some electrolytes, or are you any specific?
I like a combination of potassium, sodium, magnesium in mine. I try to get a balance of those. Again, it's looking at the history. So this is very blanket, very general. This is not, I just want people to understand this is not advice. I blanket that. I know that you probably have that. Yeah, I think they can
just
work.
Increasing electrolytes.
Yeah. And if you can get sugar-free ones, ideally, I do find that sometimes the 1,000 milligrams of sodium that are in a lot of these can be excessive for some women. So thinking half a dose, how do you do it? Do you go to saunas? When do you have it? Do you need it every day? Maybe not, depending on what you're doing. So that does help a lot of my women, especially as they are older and they go through hot flushes and night sweats. That really does help. It also helps with brain fog. I find, I don't know, when you're dehydrated, how do you feel?
Well,
I feel foggy.
all of those things.
Headaches,
all of those
brain
things.
fog, all of that kind of
And
stuff.
sometimes it could be the simplest thing.
Yeah, simplest thing. It's like, I need to drink some water. Just start that.
And
Don't
it
reach
is so basic. It is like everybody knows they've got to drink more water, but they don't do it.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips of how we can actually drink more water? I know I've got to drink it, but I sometimes don't.
I love adding cucumber and mint, fresh mint to my water. It tastes beautiful, or strawberry or something. If you're not a water drinker, they're really good ways. Like just flavour it a bit with natural flavours. Don't go buying, cordials.
Yeah. Now, kind of just going back to gut health, I want to talk about gut health and how it affects fertility.
Okay, so I think it can, because if we're going to go, number one is it impacting your nutrient intake? So vitamin D deficiency has been linked to fertility issues as well. Obviously, if you're not getting enough of certain nutrients, it can impact fertility. If your gut is off, is it impacting your hormones? Is it impacting how much progesterone you're making, or estrogen, which can impact fertility as well? I do find that there's a specific doctor, I'll try and find the name for you, but she in the US specialises in the way the gut impacts fertility specifically. And she talks about how when you recalibrate your gut and your gut microbiome, it can help support fertility.
That's happened to my friend. She was experiencing, infertility for quite some time, and she went, did a gut protocol, I think, with a practitioner, and not long after, got pregnant. And I mean, that's not going to be for everybody's case, but that was her specific case. And so it's something to investigate, I guess, if you are on that journey yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it comes back to that gut hormone connection.
Yeah.
And how the two are interlinked. So
yeah.
That's where I would kind of go with it. IBS can obviously impact you. Stress impacts fertility as well. And is that linked to your gut issues? So there's that.
And we're also just talking earlier about certain stats, and there was a stat that you said that 1 in 5 Australians are experiencing IBS. Why is that?
I can't answer that. I wish I knew. But I think the change in our food, increase in ultra-processed food intake, less whole foods, our lifestyles, alcohol intake, stressful lifestyles, trying to do it all, they all impact IBS. And there was actually a meta-analysis that showed that women had a higher prevalence of IBS too. So what does that come down to? Is it just the way we respond to stress? Is it our hormonal shifts that cause that? Lots of things like that. Because I know that PMS, IBS is one of the things that I see with PMS too. So a lot of women can't tolerate certain foods right before their period comes. So they sometimes have to reduce their FODMAPs. So that's, certain foods for IBS leading into their period, because they feel more irritated when they eat a chickpea versus when they eat a chickpea in their follicular phase. So things like that I cycle with looking at your follicular phase, ovulation phase, and your luteal phase as well.
I think it's important to seek practitioners like yourself when you are going, because how much easier it makes it when you have guidance.
Yes.
And you're giving that individualized plan for them, their lifestyle, and just helping them, which is amazing. Yeah. The work that you're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
And also there's been so much that has been said today, but we always want the listener to take away something really, really important. And even if it's just one thing, it could be 2, but what would you want the listener to take away from today if they could change their life for the better?
Okay, my number 1 tip is start understanding your body, and that means start journaling, writing down what you're feeling. Take that with you to a practitioner that you feel that you are comfortable with, and help them create that new lifestyle for you. And know that it is a lifestyle. Like yours was a 2-year journey. Mine was a 5-year journey to come out of it. So it is a journey, but it is for the rest of your life. So start to understand your body, listen to your body, track your cycle, track how you eat, how you feel after you eat, and understand what's going on with your body, number 1. My number 2, incorporate fruits, veggies in every meal, and your proteins as well.
And also, what does it mean to feel great in your skin?
It means being able to get out of bed, go exercise if that's what you want to do, be vibrant, be switched on when you're at work, and focused if that's what you're doing, or be attentive and be in the moment with your family and friends. That's what it means for me.
Yeah, I agree, because I just want to get up and be able to do all the things that I want to do and feel good doing it.
Exactly.
So,
I love that. Well, thank you so much for joining us and sharing all your wonderful insights today. And, where can we find you, follow you, and learn more about your work?
Christiana Velis Nutrition is my Instagram hold. My website is christianavelis.com.au. So just simple, my name. Find me. You can book a discovery call to learn more about working with me. I have, stuff that's happening this year. I've got more day retreats that I'm running for women, and I'm also going to be running a course for women of mastering your hormones after 35, focusing on how our hormones change, moving into perimenopause and coming out the other end. And I cover gut, liver, insulin, all of those things that we've talked about today in my course.
Great.
We'll have to get there.
Yes.
Or one-on-one.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, we'll put everything in the show notes anyway, but thank you again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks.